Hi, everyone. This is Indy, and I want to welcome you to a special recording and reading of the latest Breaking Points article breakdown that we've written for INN. Reef and I have written, and that is Breaking Points, Multiple Revenue Streams, and James Lee from the 5149 podcast, Breaking Points Affiliate Breakdown. And this is a high-level look at a portion of the funding behind Breaking Points with Crystal Ball and Saga and Jetty, monthly and lifetime member subscriptions, analysis into James Lee as a Breaking Points network affiliate. First, we have Breaking Points primary funding, monthly subscriptions. Thanks to Twitter user at BradStewart347, Real Rebel Renegade, his high-level breakdown of just the primary source of funding reveals that the show, at its current level of 40,000 paid subscribers, as Sagar proudly thanked in this stream, is generating between $300,000 and $400,000 per month, averaging out to 3.6 to 4.8 million annually. That's at its current levels. And you can see the tweet here from Real Rebel Renegade. There is a one-time lifetime member tier of $1,500, which apparently more than 700 people have paid in the first year. Add another $1 million to the pile. That's this column right there. This does not include merch sales. Of course, they have a merch store too. YouTube subscriptions, podcast ad revenue, and any other funding we are unaware of. Also, please note the link under the 3 tiers above. They will accept any donation one time, I'm sure for any amount, which opens an entirely new question about the volume and amounts of any one-time donations. Have they been transparent about any large donations received via this method? They have zero incentive or obligation to do so other than being upfront with their audience about the larger funders behind the show. Are there DC think tanks, for example? We don't know. Next, we take a look at James Lee. Why would he align with Breaking Points? Well, who is he? We can find him on Twitter at JamesCCLee, L-I. He's relatively unknown in the independent space. His channel, 5149 with James Lee, is 2 years old. He says he talks about business, politics, and society. He has a subreddit that hasn't been posted to since he started with Breaking Points, but really didn't have much engagement prior. His videos are 7 to 15-minute clips, edited really well, topic-specific, 1 per week. Similar in style, pace, and format to Second Thought, who's grown his channel to over 1.2 million subscribers on YouTube. He gives credibility to an argument that since corporate media is bought and paid for, you should be watching quote-unquote independent media, like his segments on Breaking Points, perhaps? This video from June 8th, 2021 is likely how he appeared on their radar. Over 2,200 likes and 46,000 views, by far the most he'd ever had on his channel to that point. And we embed that video there. Some of the highlights. He says that it was a really awesome show, speaking about Rising on the Hill, but it was on the Hill, admitting that it felt like corporate news. And his opinion of going independent eliminated potential conflicts of interest. That's a nice thought, but we've already uncovered that there might already be some there. Saga admitted that The Hill was adjusting content to appease lobbyists and advertisers during the mashup on the Crystal Kyle and Friends with the Realignment podcast when they explained why they left The Hill. James was also hoping that they'll be able to cover more UFOs and Jeffrey Epstein, but sadly, no mention of Julian Assange. And also at 4:36, he says, quote, for decades, pretty much as long as we can remember, the pinnacle of success for someone who wanted to be a broadcast journalist was a gig on TV, maybe CNN or Fox News, or if you're dreaming real big, a primetime network news gig. At 5:07, he says, quote, I think Crystal and Sagar have the resume, the talent, and the integrity to change how people perceive independent media, unquote. We wonder if he's looked into what happened with the People's House Project PAC, with DNC establishment and PayPal Mafia mega donor Reid Hoffman providing half the funding. How did only 3% of that money donated go to end up directly donating to candidates, but 3%, Crystal's salary was the number one expenditure? We also wonder if James is aware of Sagar's links to the Hudson Institute, their funders and mission, and the alignment with many of Sagar's foreign policy takes. At 5:40, he says, quote, their move could potentially alter the pipeline of talent in broadcast media and journalism in general. Maybe hyperbolic, but maybe true. And at 5:50, he says, quote, a young, talented kid who wants to be a journalist or a political commentator, the dream, the pinnacle, wouldn't not necessarily be establishment media anymore. I don't think it's been establishment media for quite a while. Their partnership was announced on February 28th of earlier this year, and that was the first Breaking Point segment that James appeared on. He's appeared in a total of 8 clips. First one was, is business school the root of corporate evil? How private equity reaps billions from decimating workers? Is Web3's promise of a decentralized internet false? How corrupt Congress staff incentives aid revolving door? Zero COVID and the power incentives of the Chinese regime. So he's already talking about China there. The dark side of the nonprofit industrial complex. The tyrannical truth of the World Economic Forum, and exposing hidden forces jacking up gas prices. That was the most recent on June 14th. His role in the show is as a freelancer to give extreme anti-corporate takes to set the narrative of what's acceptable to the discussion in this realm, but he provides the furthest left position, the conspiracy theorist almost. But speaking from a logic perspective, most of the 5149 channel's growth appears to be organic, meaning that he's not paying for clicks or manipulating the algorithm. It got a big bump from the initial video about breaking points in June 2021, where James predicted they would beat mainstream media news. Then his channel went back to typical traffic, about 1,000 views per video. Then he appeared on Breaking Points to announce the partnership in February, another spike, which you can see from the 2 red lines on the bottom left and right of the stat image below, which come from socialblade.com, and you can see that his channel is clearly getting a lift from the partnership. So what I'm talking about are these 2 charts right here. This one on the left, this is the initial video that he did about Breaking Points, and you can see that he got a small bump in weekly subscribers, but a significant bump in February when he first went on, and he's had a decent jump in weekly subs. His weekly video views, similarly for the channel, they spiked quite high during that week that he hyped up Breaking Points and stayed up pretty high for a couple of weeks and kind of tailored out, leveled out, announces the partnership. There's the big spike and leveled out, but he's still maintaining a nice foothold of weekly views. So again, you can see since the partnership has been announced, he has definitely seen an increase on his channel of views. However, we have some issues and concerns and questions. I searched quite a bit of his content, and I searched a lot of the transcripts, and never once has he mentioned Julian Assange. And why? It's especially telling that his name was conspicuously absent from this video in May 2022, titled How the Media Hides the Truth. This was from James's channel. Can you find any mention or support of direct action or mutual aid? We've done more than a cursory glance and had a hard time finding any. Not saying that he hasn't supported or mentioned it, just saying we couldn't find it. How much has he investigated the host's backgrounds and ties with billionaire Reid Hoffman and conservative DC think tanks like the Hudson Institute? He's also been doing this 2 years in a very small space where most of the people who align on these issues know each other, or at least know about each other. Nobody in the independent activist space has really heard of James until this announcement of a partnership. And we all have questions about what was his position on Force the Vote and on March for Medicare for All and on the General Strike Summit and on labor in general. So what's in it for James? We feel that it's visibility. With a channel 80 times the size of his, Breaking Points, and a growing subscriber base, he likely saw the partnership as not much to lose. He's certainly helping Breaking Points perpetuate the notion that they are independent of corporate influence. Plus, if he's paid the same as Max Alvarez, he's getting just $300 per segment, plus any boost from traffic while increasing his name recognition in media. Admittedly, $300 per segment seems awfully light for a show that's earning more than $300,000 per month, just from subscriptions alone. And I thank you for listening to this reading. Please follow and subscribe to indienews.network. We have 23 member content creators and a support staff. Please go to indienews.network and you can find all of our network channels as well as links to find all of our members and support all of our members' endeavors. Again, this has been Indie Left. I've been reading our Breaking Points article. I thank you for your time And we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for supporting independent media. Question everyone's motivations. Thank you, everybody.